Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOA Uncorked. This is Holly.
And this is Jeanna.
And Jeanna.
I know. It's like a A-lister in the house.
Okay, it starts with an M.
I don't know.
Mogul.
Mogul.
And do you know what's better than a mogul?
Come
on.
This lady.
No. A self-made mogul.
Oh, okay. Well, yes.
I think she's a self-made mogul in the house. And before I reveal the name, what's on her website, I'm stealing this from her website, but honestly, I want to, you might have to get a restraining order because,
I know. Well,
because I think I'm this. Okay. She's a risk taker, a non-conformist. Okay.
You're projecting. Yeah.
I know, I'm projecting. Rule breaker and rule maker.
Oh, yes.
Because that means if you can make the rules, you can break the rules. Who loves that?
Yes.
Okay. Who believes nothing is impossible? I mean, who believes anything is possible?
The mogul.
The mogul.
Mm-hmm.
The mogul. Okay. And so she's an internationally renowned motivational speaker. I mean, it's true. All of this is true.
I know.
She's a best-selling author. Never in Your Wildest Dreams,
which is
we'll have to talk about that. Okay.
A phenomenal title.
That's right.
Yes.
And she's a law of attraction guru.
Mm-hmm.
And LOA says law of attraction. We're not going to be gurus, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Host of the Inspiration Show and Wake Up TV.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
She has a course called Ultimate Success Masterclass. She's the co-founder of a personal development company called Mind Movies. And I think we're all going to want to create one as soon as we get off this podcast with her. We're
star in your own mind movie.
I mean, can you imagine? You know, we've always dreamed of being rock stars.
Yes,
we can create that. We can put I think we could probably put a guitar in there.
Yeah, for
something.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. And she also, if that isn't enough, Jeanna, let me keep going. She also has a podcast.
She is here.
A podcaster.
You should let her talk.
No. And we'll do another introduction just because we want to talk a lot. Okay. So she has a podcast called Not Over, Just Different.
Yeah.
And so I love I'm going to ask a question or so about that as well.
Of course.
Welcome, Natalie Ledwell, to LOA Uncorked.
Hello, Natalie.
Hi. What an introduction. Wow.
Listen,
well, I'm exhausted thinking about listening to that.
I can help you with the corresponding paperwork for the restraining order.
It's true.
It's already filled out. True. I can help you with that.
It's true. I was like,
that's my job on this podcast.
She's a sister after risk taker, non-conformist. I was like, oh, my heart is going pitter patter. But
See, you are a guest. You consider yourself a guest on the podcast. Holly's already elevated you to sister. I mean, we're growing.
She's family.
So I feel a connection already. Like we're energetically connected.
It's really true. I love it. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. All of it's true.
Yes.
None of it's made up. Okay. And so we can't wait to get into the conversation.
For sure. So Natalie, thank you. Like Holly said, we're so honored to have you here today. And I think what we typically ground our podcast in is just having our guests share a bit about themselves and their journey, kind of what brings them to today. And, in your elevation to mogulness, maybe what are the kind of the highlights that you think is important for our audience to hear? Just kind of just ground this conversation. Then we'll move on to some of the tenets of your mogulness. How about that?
I love that. Well, and I kind of like how you use that, I do believe that anything is possible.
Yeah.
And the reason I believe that is I grew up in a country town in Australia and I'm one of 8 kids. I come from very, very humble beginnings. And I get to live in LA. I have this, you can't see the view, but I can see the Hollywood sign from here. I can see the marina. Yeah. I've reached 10 million people with my.
I love it. So that makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. And how I got started was really after I saw The Secret back in 2006 when it was originally, released. Right. And of course, all those guys, the John Asraf, Jack Canfield, Joe Vitale, all those guys are my friends. Like I get to hang out with those people. I'm just like,
wow.
She's like, pinch me right now. What's going on? This is my life.
That is amazing.
And you didn't know them back then, just so you were like the rest of us, because I got The Secret. I gifted it to everybody. Mm-hmm. Then the movie came out, and I was, blinded by all that, and then sucking up all the things and reading about, Joe Vitale and all their books and well, I'm not a mogul yet, but it can still happen.
But you were not a mogul
at that
point,
time,
right?
No, I was a very hard worker is what I was. I was married at the time. My husband and I, at the time when we saw The Secret, 2006, we had 4 businesses we were running at the same time, but we were serial entrepreneurs. The first business we had together was a nightclub, so we were, in the middle of the party scene. And then we probably had 20 different businesses that we ran together. And so when a friend of ours came to us with this idea of setting up like a website, and, he showed us this little, slideshow that he put together, which was like PowerPoint slides with affirmations on it, and then photos, and then music, which was like his version of a vision board.
Right.
I'm like, dude, first of all, we have no time for businesses. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And I mean, Glenn couldn't even turn on a computer. I mean, I used a computer for bookkeeping. I knew how to use Word and the bookkeeping software. That's all I knew. I didn't even know what YouTube was. When someone was describing it at like the social networks to me, I'm like, wait. So you put your personal details on a website. Why would anyone do that? Like, I don't get it. Like,
right.
That's where we started. Like, I'm like, I know these movies are a great idea. The Secret had just been on Oprah. There was like this huge explosion around the world. And we're like, no, we want to ride this wave. Let's see where this goes. Right. And we put one little video up on YouTube. And from that one video, I mean, we were getting hundreds of people coming through. And in the beginning, it was just instructions on how to make the movies, and within months, people are going, this has changed my life. I'm like, guys, we need to get serious. Like, how do we figure out this internet thing? Like, how do we do this?
How do we get on the line?
Yeah. We're gonna get on the web. Let's do the web.
I love it.
So we ended up, we realized you could buy programs online that would teach you how to do this. One program we bought was by a guy called Frank Kern, who's like, a legend in the internet marketing circles. Not that we knew that, but we came across his thing. Then we came over to the US in 2008, April 2008. We attended his weekend seminar. We got accepted into his mastermind group. So he became our mentor, because we're on a fast track, man. We were like, we need to meet some marketers. We need to figure this stuff out. Okay. So we ended up, staying in San Diego for 6 months. We worked 10 hours a day from our bedrooms. We orchestrated our first launch of My Movies, our worldwide launch, in September 2008, which is when the economic crisis hit the planet. Not that we knew, because we're head down, bum up, just like, focusing on getting this thing done. And we had no money. So we had to learn how to write emails and set up autoresponders and build websites and all these things by ourselves, because we couldn't afford to pay anyone to do it. Yeah. And so by the time we got to the launch, we'd accumulated $120,000 on credit cards, which was on top of all the other debt that we had, back home. Right. And it wasn't until we got towards the launch that we realized economically what was happening. We're like, oh my God, what does this mean? I'm like, this could ruin us. But gratefully, we hit $100,000 in the first hour. We ended up doing a $700,000 launch. Now, I'm telling you the glossy version of this because everything went wrong, like everything, and it's even down to, PayPal, which was our payment gateway at the time, froze our account with with $500,000 in it. And we're just like, it took us 6 months, and we had an attorney friend to go to town on these guys to get them to finally release the funds. But yeah, we nearly went bankrupt. It was nearly the end of us all, and it was the most stressful thing. But on the other side of that was, okay, now we have this business. And then the next year when we came back to the US, we're getting emails from Jack Canfield going, hi, like, I'd love to meet with you guys. Let's work together. I'm like, wow. So it happened.
When you're in that dark space, though, let's rewind before you go to the light.
Yes.
Okay. So when you were at that, because that would be the scariest place to be, and in that economy at that time, with that debt, with all that hard work, all that sweat equity, how did you get through that to get the light to the Jack Canfield email? And how did
energetically, how did you do that? And Yeah.
Did LOA, Law of Attraction, help you get there? Or were you guys practicing the secret? Like when you were walking that path, besides being super damn smart, okay,
Mhm.
super driven,
Yep. Oh yeah.
hardworking,
Yep.
all those other attributes that we obviously can see. What was the behind the curtain mentally?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, we did have created a mind movie for that launch that all three of us would watch every single day.
Oh, I love
You
that.
know, we were able to convince the guy that built the technology back platform in the back, our copywriter and our JV managers to work on a percentage of the launch because we had no money to pay them up front.
Mhm.
They were watching the My Movie every day. And that My Movie described, you know, the amount of money that we were earning, the amount of customers that we had, what the business looked like, you know, how we were only having to work 6 hours a day, you know, rather than 12, and what life looked like on the other side of that. So we were always focused on that. But the smartest thing we did was join that mastermind. And actually the story of that's awesome because, you know, we're at the seminar and Frank announces he's going to take applications. And I'm like, oh man, that's it, we're in. And I'm filling out the application. Now Glenn and Ryan, you know, are sitting next to me going, should we join? We can't really afford it. What should we do?
Right.
And I'm just like, I'm not even listening to that. So I get up to start walking away to put the application in, and Glenn's like, where are you going? I go, are you kidding me? I go, this is why we're here. It was like $2,700 a month commitment. And I'm like, we'll figure it out. This is why we're here. So even like we didn't know about the economic crisis until because, you know, the first week is like your pre-launch.
Yep.
So all your partners are sending out emails and you're building your list. Our list went from 8,000 to 80,000 in the week. Actually so quick that the email delivery system shut down our account because they were convinced we were doing something illegal. We had to get Frank on the phone to get them to reinstate the thing. So it wasn't until that week that we realized what was going on. And Frank said to us, he goes, guys, he goes, it doesn't even matter what happens next week. He goes, you now have a business. You have an 80,000 list.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what helped us through. Like
Right.
we made commitments to, you know, support our partners and mail for them to the new list. So that was helping us to generate at least some kind of commission that we were able to go, look, we can't pay you yet because the money was frozen, but here we'll do this in exchange. So at least we were able to salvage those relationships. I mean, this is our first run out of the gate.
Right.
And forces beyond our control. But, you know, we keep our eye on the prize. We have the right people around us that not only are giving us support, but are giving us the right advice as well.
Right.
You know, so we were just immersed ourselves so that we were energetically aligned with the result that we wanted and had the people around us helping to lift us up into that as well.
That's an incredible story. And so Mind Movies, for everybody, can you explain? I don't want to, I want to, but I won't. Can you explain what Mind Movies are for our audience? And then we will.
I mean, listen, you are a mogul because usually she just keeps talking. So I mean, the fact that she's letting you like explain your own thing, this is a good step.
Okay.
All right. So, you know, if you watch The Secret, or you guys know about the law of attraction,
Yes.
one important part of the process of manifesting is that we have to conceive what we want as a thought first. Then we have to truly believe that it's going to happen. And the way that we do that and build our belief is that it's like we go there in our mind first. You know, we see ourselves in this future. We feel what it's like to already be in these moments that we're going to experience once this becomes a reality. So a lot of people would create a vision board to help them to visualize. So they cut out photos of the house they want, or the car, or the vacation. So when they look at those pictures, they can see themselves in that house or see themselves in the car. Now with a mind movie, it kind of takes it a step further. So yes, you're still using images of the house and the car and the things that you want. But what you're adding to this little slideshow, this little movie that you're creating, is a narrative of affirmations that are comprehensively describing this reality as if it's happening now. So you're describing what it is that you want. You're describing what life looks like when you get there. You know, you're reminding yourself why you're going the extra mile. Like, you know, what's your why? Why are you doing this for the people that you love? why are you doing it for the people that you're serving? Like, think
Mhm.
about all of those benefits. And so, you know, when you hit a roadblock, like most people do, when you keep reminding yourself why every day when you're watching this movie, it helps to keep you moving forward. I also write any kind of actions and things I need to take, but the secret sauce in this as well is, how do I need to change the way I think
Right.
Right.
to become this person, to be able to do these things? You know, if I believe, and I have a limiting belief that says that I'm never going to amount to anything, no one in my family is wealthy, why would it happen for me?
Right.
Then I need to replace those thoughts with thoughts that are saying things like, you know, I believe that money flows to me easily.
Yeah.
You know, success is mine. I deserve success. You know, I am abundantly free and abundantly, you know, financially abundant. You know, all of these things, I add all of that. So when I'm watching this movie, it's this dynamic little slideshow with the affirmations and photos on each of the slide. But then the little secret sauce at the end is the music. Because the song that you choose to add to your goals and your dreams and this reality that you're creating becomes an anchor for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is something amazing that music does to like root something in your conscience or subconscious. And you hear that, you know, a song or even a ditty over, you without even thinking about it, you will feel it, right? Like there,
Yeah.
and we can say that about any song. Like we grew up with any
Absolutely.
song, it roots it in your body in an interesting way. That's fantastic, because you're right. The music would add an element that you don't get by journaling or vision boarding and that kind of thing, right?
And you want to choose music that's kind of in alignment with the theme of your mind movie.
Sure.
You know, like I attracted my partner, my boyfriend during COVID. Number one.
Okay, now that I need to know how to do
Now
that.
that is some secret sauce.
That is some serious secret sauce. Okay, do tell, sister.
Yes. Now, I had a very clear mind movie about what I wanted to, like who I was in relationship, characteristics of my partner, what our life looked like together. Now, of course, the song I used for that was All of Me by John Legend, because it's a love song, right? So, because when I'm watching it, I want to feel love. I want to be and like a vibrational match to the love I want to bring in. Absolutely. So before I go online man shopping, I would watch my mind movie so that I'm energetically aligned with the type of person that I'm looking for. So it's easier for me to recognize them when they show up.
Right.
Like my health and fitness one, I have Confident by Demi Lovato, because it's like it's really now rocking.
So good. Yes.
Going, right. And then for the children's project that I'm working on, I use Beautiful by Christina Aguilera.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, because you hear the lyrics of that. She's like, you know, you're beautiful. It doesn't matter what they say.
Yeah.
No, you have everything in you that you need, kind of thing. So that was an appropriate song for that, because you want to be able to get into an emotional state that matches what you're going to feel when you eventually experience what you're seeing in your mind.
Yeah, you're manifesting.
Oh, yeah, I love that we're rooting the feelings and anchoring with music. I love that.
Huge.
Well, okay, so your advice would be, we get a mind movie and I'm trying to manifest my man. And
John Legend, I hear, works pretty well.
Yeah, apparently. Okay. And is it daily? What is the cadence with in your, because it's not just about you. You've used this in many, many classes, conferences. I mean, you have 10 million people. How many millions of people that have used this? So you're the expert. What does it take with these movies? And, you know, what's the cheat sheet on that one?
Well, you definitely want to be watching them every day.
Yeah.
I specifically like to watch them before I'm starting to do any kind of action that's, you know, related to that. Like I said, I watch my Love My movie before I go online.
Gotcha.
I watch my health and fitness one to get my butt out of bed so I can get to the gym, you know, like, so I use them for those specific purposes as well. So that as I'm starting to do that work or do that action, I'm already energetically aligned with the result that I want.
Right.
So it makes the work easier. It makes the workouts easier. It helps me to see solutions and get ideas that maybe I might not have seen before, because I'm reminding myself of where it is that I'm ending up. So I'm not getting bogged down with that, oh man, I got to go to the gym. I don't really want to do that. But when I watch my mind movie and go, oh, right, I'm going to be, you know, this thing, and I'm going to have all this energy, and I want to be in this health, then of course I'm really motivated to exercise. So you can see how it positively influences my actions as well.
Yeah. You know, I always think about, and I've been thinking about it quite a bit with our LOA work, is, you know, when you think about professional athletes, there is a ritual that professional athletes go through with a visualization of the game, winning the game, how they feel at the end when they've won the big championship. And then they always, when they're getting ready, at least most of them that I know of and have heard them talk, they have almost like a hype ritual before a game, a pre-hype ritual.
Okay.
So this is the melding of the visualization and the pre-hype.
I love it.
Visual. Like this is, that's a mind movie for different aspects of your life that you're wanting to see differently than you see today.
Yeah.
Ultimately, right?
Yeah. And really it's a tool.
Yeah.
Because it's not the mind movie itself that's the power.
Right.
It's how it helps you to create that visualization in your mind. You know, I've been working with Dr. Joe Dispenza for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he does a really powerful process. But when you're visualizing, what's most powerful is that, you know, when you close your eyes and you go into your mind, rather than seeing yourself as a character in a movie, like you're seeing the scene play out in front of you, you want to put yourself in it as if you're experiencing the moment. Right. So like, for example, with my partner, the visualization I used to go into when I'm thinking about my love was, you know, a scene on a beach. And I'm laying on a deck chair and I can feel the deck chair underneath me, and I can feel the warmth of the sun, and I can hear the ocean. I can smell the ocean. I can, you know, and I'm holding his hand and I just see a figure. I don't need to see anything specific.
Right.
But what I'm feeling in the moment is this contentment and love and gratitude, because that's what I will be feeling in that moment. Now, when Bert and I met, within 1 month, I was actually living that scene. We actually went on a road trip up to Monterey. And that's where I was. I was like,
and you didn't recreate it. The universe just created that same scene. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually showed Bert my mind movie. We were dating for about 3 months before I showed him the mind movie. And he's like, okay, first of all, that's creepy. Like, wow. He goes, that is us. I go, I know. I go, you think you found me? I go, I manifested you.
I love it. I love it.
Too.
Was it a requirement? I mean, this is just a personal question.
I know. I know
you knew it was going to come.
Yeah,
okay. Is it a requirement of yours that your mate believe in the law of attraction?
No.
Yeah. See, that's some great stuff right there.
That
was not a requirement.
You know, I did, but one of my must-haves was that he would be open to personal development.
Right.
Okay. Yes.
And so it's interesting because his personal development doesn't look like mine.
Yeah.
You know, he's been retired for 15 years. He has a lot of time on his hands. So he reads a lot, and then he spends a lot of time in contemplation. You know,
that's beautiful.
So he, and he's had, you know, like counselors and stuff in the past, but, you know, this is how he gets to these places. Me, I'm like, you know, it's all the shiny seminars and the books and the whatever else.
Right.
But the thing is, we have very similar viewpoints on a lot of things, but how we got there is completely different.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to me. I'm like, wow, I love how that kind of works out.
It's beautiful. The universe just delivers more than what you can possibly ever imagine. And I love that, you know, your mind movie, because I'm just thinking that everybody's going to run and get it mind movie. Everybody can go to the website. We'll link all this
in the show notes. Yep.
To be able to create their own mind movies. Correct. Yes. And so I'm just thinking that people, you know, when you're creating your mind movies, I mean, I think you want some detail, but I don't think you want to try to rule everything, because all the time you get something far more than you expect when you're actually getting your manifestation.
And never usually where you think you're going to get it. Right.
Never. It never shows up the way you think, and it never happens the way you think it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Like even with mind movies, like one of the businesses that we had was this network marketing business. And all of our other businesses were like brick and mortar. If we didn't show up, we didn't earn the money, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I can leverage, and this is amazing. And, you know, I was convinced, and I had all these affirmations, you know, I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to speak on stage. I'm going to help people make money. I'm going to, you know, make them feel better about themselves, blah, blah, blah. So if someone had told me, yeah, you can do all of that and you're going to do it through the internet, I would have like, I don't think so. I know nothing about the
I don't
internet.
even know what the line is, the on the line means.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what this
How far
web
you don't even
manipulation
talk
is going
about
on.
clouds.
Yeah, don't
we
even talk about the cloud. I know.
And the thing is, if we hadn't have been in a network marketing business, we would never have met Ryan, who was the guy that came to us with the idea.
Right.
So all
So
roads
beautiful.
always lead to, so it never shows up the way that you think, and even Bert, like I got some really good advice about, finding a mate. You have 3 must-haves, 3 deal breakers, and then everything else is negotiable, so of course they were in my mind movie. So, I mean, I got the bonus claim, I wanted someone with time and money freedom that could travel with me. I'm like, oh my God, he's got all the time in the world. He's financially well off. This is great. And, so all of those things, like I could recognize pretty quickly. I had them in my mind movie. And so even though I had those things, I mean, he showed up, he's a 60-year-old guy who's old, who's retired, and I was like, wow, that is not the type of person I thought would show up. And yet he's everything I asked for and more.
Yeah. So you negotiate for all those right things.
I love it.
Oh my God, I love that.
I do.
So good. Go ahead.
So moving to that's so good. So we'll
I
link
know
all
you
that.
have follow-up questions. I can
but
see it in our eyes,
I
but
know,
that's okay.
but I'm
Yes.
looking at the time and so
we might be doing some mentoring offline with you for Holly and her, her
and
mind movie.
I do want to just touch on the book a little bit, because the book Never in Your Wildest Dreams, I love that it's just a rocking badass title for
really
sure. It's a different type of book than you might imagine, I think. And what was your hope with writing that book? Because it's kind of, what is it called when it's fiction, but not, it's kind of loosely based on.
It's not autobiographical.
No, it's not. It's definitely fiction. I call it transformational fiction.
Gotcha.
And so I like to push myself. Writing a book, I'm thinking, okay, that's something that scares me. I'm going to do it. Right. And so I actually got connected with a publisher really quickly, because that's kind of how quickly things happen for me these days. And she's like, you know what? I think you should write fiction. I'm like, I don't even read fiction. No, I'm a how-to girl. I'm like, these are the steps. This is how I break it down. This is how you do it.
Right.
And she's like, no, I think you should do fiction. I'm like, oh, okay. So I struggled with it for a number of months. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do this or how this is going to happen. And I already had the how-to outline. So I'm like, and then I was doing an interview with a guy who did a documentary called Finding Joe. And it was a tribute to Joseph Campbell, who I'd never heard of before, right?
Oh, okay.
And then in the interview, he's talking about, the hero's story or the hero's journey. And how it is an arc of how you write a story.
Yes.
And in the middle of it, he's talking, I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that for my book. So I got out some, big pieces of butcher paper. I wrote out the 12 steps of the hero's journey. Then I looked at my how-to and went, okay, well, that would slot in there and that would slot there, that would slot there.
So good.
So good. 2 weeks. I wrote the book in 2 weeks.
No, you did not.
It just came out. It just flowed through. It was incredible.
Like if you're not on YouTube, you should just see Jeanna and I looking at each other with our mouths hanging open.
It took me podcast to get to that point.
Yeah.
But then that outline, it just flowed out of me. And you send off your first copy to the publisher going, oh, the editors, they're just gonna tear it to bits. But do what you need to. I'm okay. I've got thick skin. I can handle it.
Yeah.
There was a couple of edits in the first couple of chapters. No other edits after that. I'm like, seriously? They go, yeah. The editor said it was a delight to read. I'm like, oh, okay.
Whoa.
Well, that's a big deal, because no editor ever says that I've heard in the publishing.
Right.
Well, and if you think back, the divine guidance of the publisher to say it's a fiction, and then you're struggling and you listen to this.
Total sense.
And when you're aware and present, you can pick up the breadcrumbs and see the signs and put them together, and then things flow effortlessly. If you fight them and you aren't paying attention, you're going to miss them, and you're fighting it all the time. Right?
Listen though, for the person that's driving their car going with their mouth open to right now, okay, like I feel like people are going to say that Natalie is the luckiest woman on earth. This is luck. And so I feel like, you know, we should outline why this is conscious creation, not luck. Okay.
I don't actually believe in luck.
I don't either. Okay, by the way, but let's talk about why. Why is this conscious creation?
Because, so the other thing you should probably know about me is that I left school when I was 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
I didn't do the last 2 years of high school, and I didn't go to college.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
So, you know, I'm definitely from the school of hard knocks. I'm like, yes.
Self-made mogul.
Right?
See? What did I start with?
So it's like, you know, with that level of education, I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't intelligent enough to do that. I just have a big family that we couldn't afford to keep us all in school, right? Yeah. So you look at, you know, all these different things that we were able to create and able to build. And all of them turned out exactly the way that we wanted them to, within, you know, the parameters.
Sure.
Like I said, didn't think it was going to be the internet. Here we are with Mind Movies.
Right.
You know, didn't think I could write the book. And then that ended up being this, you know, multimedia thing with videos and the whole thing. Like it was this whole extension. But I, for all intensive purposes, on the outside looking in, you're just going, how is that possible? Like the children's program, for example, this is actually the best story about this, because
let's hear about this.
So, you know, I got the idea to create the children's version of the Mind Movie software. So all the photos were age relevant, and, you know, rather than find a perfect partner, it's like, you know, we're talking about education and school and friends and that kind of thing.
Right.
And I created it, and I'm like, okay, now what? Well, now what do I do with this? And then within a matter of months, and I'm going to cut this really long story short, I was connected with the dean of a university in Medellin in Colombia. I know it sounds random, but this is how this stuff works.
Yes.
And we donated, as a company, donated 10,000 Mind Movies for Kids accounts for the teachers to start using in the schools in Medellin, because, you know, they had to come back from, you know, their past history, recent history. So the dean, Mario, says, yes, can you also create a curriculum to go with the Mind Movies? And I'm like,
huh?
Yes.
Yes.
How that word came out of my mouth, I don't know.
Yes.
And I said, what do you need? He goes, I need 12 lessons and, you know, address bullying and the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, get off the phone. And I was like, oh my God, I am not qualified. What was I thinking? Why did I say yes? This is insane.
Right.
And so, you know, I sit down, and my process is that I go into a meditation so I can calm everything down, because I was freaking out. And then I sit in the end result, the future, and I can see myself walking into the classroom, and I can feel the kids pulling on my clothes, and they're laughing, and the teachers crying and tell me how much it's changed their lives, and, you know, and I'm in that moment. So now I'm a vibrational match to where I want to end up. So I come out of the meditation, and all I do is go, what's my first step? I can't look at the mountain, because that would just debilitate me. I'm like, what do I do first? Do I know a teacher? You know, I reached out to a friend who's a Montessori teacher. I go, is there like a universal way these things are laid out, so at least I look like I know what I'm doing? So she sent me like the you know, outline of a lesson plan.
Right.
I figured out what I wanted. So I called my copywriter, and I go, dude, can you help me? I've got 2 weeks to get this done. This is what I need. Can you help me, you know, word this out, like write it out? He goes, yeah. He goes, but you know, I have a secret weapon. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you do know my wife's a teacher, right? And she specializes in early age curriculum. I'm like,
God.
No. So not only were we able to get that done on time, it was, you know, we got it done. It was amazing, right? These are the kind of things you can't plan for. And when you believe that it can happen, like I had to get to that place where I'm believing that, yes, I can get this done. Yes, it's going to happen. I can see where this can go. I have to be in that energy, before I can go, what do I need? And then universe will go, yeah, here you go. Here's your curriculum.
Serve it right your way. Oh my gosh.
That's just the best story.
It
I
is.
also like what I've seen, and I see this, I've seen it mostly with females from a gender standpoint, but women will have a tendency to say, yeah, I'm not sure I'm qualified. And the answers is yes, you are. Okay. That's what that says, you know, yes, you are. You should say yes. When something comes knocking at the door,
that
say
feels
yes.
in alignment with what you're wanting to accomplish. Then you say yes.
You say yes. You don't say, do I have the pedigree for it? And so that program has been wildly successful. Is it also here in the United States, or are we using it here yet? In our schools, we could certainly use it.
It's morphed into something incredible now. So, you know, after the 12 lessons, everyone's, what's next? I'm like, I don't know. Didn't know I could do that, you know? And of course, I'm like, you know, I'm looking at my mind movie that I do every year, and I realized I've carried over a few things from the year before, and I had too many things in there. I was working on a TV show. I was going to go write a new book. I was looking at the kids program, and I'm like, I need to choose one and focus, because I'm not getting anywhere here. I'm like, kids program, you know, not qualified, can't do that. TV show, ooh, that's sexy. I might do that. And then, of course, days later, a friend of mine who's a colleague in Australia, who's got 2 master's degrees, has worked with kids in trauma for years, worked in refugee camps around the world, like just amazing. He calls me and goes, come on, let's do the kids thing. I'm like, oh, okay, the kids thing. All right.
Just took it off my mind movie. I'm sorry.
And again, I've been in meetings with professors, and they're all going around going, these are my qualifications, these are my things, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, so I left high school, you know, like out of my depth. But what I had to own, because I can get caught up and go in that little vortex of I'm not qualified, who do I think I am, you know? But what I do as I go, I'm owning up to what I bring to the project.
That's exactly right.
I love that. It's so authentic, and it's so like, I'm not going to shrink. I'm going to stand up in, because that would be a really intimidating place to be in. I mean, I'd be intimidated there, you know, and I went to high school, but you know, like, it's an intimidating spot to be in with all those people.
But it is the exact intent of the program and what you're teaching through mind movies, and, you know, the law of attraction, manifestation, you know.
She has a PhD in that.
You have a, yes, you are more qualified than those.
Not about that. The program's not about that. It's not, we're not teaching law of attraction in schools. Oh my God.
Right.
There's no way we'd be able to get away with that.
No, but the essence of mind movies is that, right? That's the essence of the, don't tell anybody in the school system, because I agree with you. It causes all kinds of.
It's about goals, Jeanna. You know, it's about strategic goals.
Right. But
and getting along and socially being good humans.
And training this, the most powerful thing in our body, this brain of ours, to work for us and with us and lead us. I mean, it's so good and so good. So good.
I mean, really, it's emotional intelligence.
It really is.
It's anti-bullying, it's suicide prevention, it's mindfulness.
Yeah.
It's a whole child approach. It's not just one thing, it's a whole thing. Yes, Mind Movies is in there.
Yeah.
But we're coming in stealth.
I love that. It's appropriate.
That's good. Yep. I think.
No, I love that. It's crazy. It's wonderful. It's not crazy. It's the way it should be. But I do want to point out the flow that things happen. You keep hearing, well, in days, within, 24 hours. I don't know. Yeah. There's a flow to your life that clearly you were consciously, through the movies and through your actions and through your process, you were consciously creating the outcomes that you needed and wanted for your life, and you've created that.
Yeah. And like engaging, in the flow and letting it guide. Like, because I do think when we're in our head and we're over, sometimes we don't follow the flow, right? So
we get very caught up in the doing of it and trying to make it happen. I mean, I'm GSD. I will get stuff done. There's no problem. I can do that. But I have way too much evidence that tells me that if I surrender into knowing that it's not going to show up the way I think, it's not going to happen the way I think, and surrender into knowing that everything happens in divine timing exactly when it's supposed to, and I can relax into that, and there is no forcing, there is no pushing. Believe me, I've been working on this program for years, I've had some moments I'm like, why isn't it happening yet?
Yes.
Because now we've just had this pandemic, which unfortunately is the perfect time for us.
Right.
Because
Right.
we have it, and now it's more comprehensive, because we're not just focusing on the kids, we're also helping the teachers, and we also have programming for the parents.
Yeah.
It is a three-pronged situation right now. Parents are in high anxiety and they're really scared for the safety of their kids.
Yes.
Kids are mentally struggling, and we haven't even seen the full effect of what that's going to look like yet.
Yeah.
And teachers are so overwhelmed, they cannot put another thing on their plate.
Right.
And they're dealing with these scared parents coming in and being aggressive about wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. Like, teachers are resigning in droves right now.
Oh, it's so
And they
sad.
don't get paid enough. They do not get paid enough for everything that they
No,
do.
they don't.
No,
No.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
And those kids adore their teachers. I mean, for some children, that's their safe haven, right?
Well, yeah, and I do believe, I mean, we've seen it in the teenagers as well, that, you know, the anxiety's gone up. Now we've got so many kids with high anxiety. And I mean, I think it's going to cause us to relook at, I'm hoping it causes us to relook at our whole entire school program and the support of teachers, parents, children.
Yeah.
The whole system needs to be revamped. But I'm so happy that you're doing this in the world. That's
Well,
such a beautiful
And to
thing.
think that you had spent this time getting, there was a readiness when the need arrived, right?
So quick readiness.
Quick readiness. It was there, and you had developed it, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too, you know, because the pandemic, it's interesting. I've just finished doing a 7-day challenge with our My Movies community, and you know, the pandemic, the whole of humanity has gone through the pandemic, and our experience of it has been different. So I'm always like, okay, how do I make this work for me? How am I, you know, and so I actually took on a coach. I always have a coach, but I took on a new coach, so that every week I was able to meet with my coach, you know, over Zoom, because there was nothing on my calendar.
Right.
Well, all of a sudden my calendar's like, poof, okay, it's completely free, which is also why I had space to bring in a love as well. I won't go into that. But I realized how much I needed to become this person who could hold the space and hold the energy and keep the vision and the motivation moving forward on this project, because I would keep slipping back into my small self, into that old story of who do I think I am? My God, I'm from a country town in Australia, for goodness sake. Like, this is crazy. But I had to learn how to understand where that was coming from and how to release all of that. And now I'm in a place where every time I'm in a conversation with people about this, they go, this is really hard. It's going to be really hard. I go, yes, I know. And we're here. So let's keep moving forward. Like, I go, yes, we can, but I'm not listening to that. Because again, I have too much proof and evidence to say, yeah, that could be the case. But if anyone's going to overcome that, I will. Because everything I've overcome in the past.
I love that the mogul has a coach. Okay, so
I know,
I just want to point
something to talk about.
No, I do. I just want to point that out before we move on, because I feel like that the looking at yourself intensely and trying to release some of those small stories, some of those old patterns, is a key ingredient to getting in the flow and stopping some of the or pulling out some of the obstacles flowing around the boulder like water in a stream.
Getting the tree that fell down back when you were 12 out of the river.
And
yes.
So I love that. I love that you're promoting actually having help. I think we all need help to do that, by the way. So yeah, I love that.
And for everything, like, I needed to clear a lot of my old stories before I found my love.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a woman in my 50s.
Yes.
The last time I dated, I was a 20-something-year-old aerobics instructor. So
I love that.
My movie looks slightly different. Yes. I know mine would have.
And then I have my stories, like guys that are the age that I'm attracted to only date younger women. That was one of my stories. That's not true.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of things that I had to, overcome for myself to be able to, be open and be ready and be the match for the kind of guy that I was looking for. Then you get in relationship. And then
Yeah.
things come up in relationship, because they're the things that only a relationship can bring to the surface.
Exactly.
Work on that. It's like there's always another level. There's always something that, every new situation, every time you go into a new relationship, a new business, a new project, whatever that is, you're pushing the envelope a little. And then, of course, things are going to come to the surface.
Yeah.
You
Learn
gotta
more about
understand
yourself.
when I'm getting triggered, where is that coming from? But then have the courage to be able to go, okay, let me look at that. Because, especially at this age, if things are still coming up right now, it's like, okay, I haven't looked at this. I've chosen.
That's your stuff, right?
I was a late
this
bloomer.
must be my stuff.
I was a late bloomer, so things are still coming up at this age. That's for sure.
For
And I
sure.
like that you're telling Jeanna when she's triggered by me, she needs to look within.
I
love that. That makes me really happy, Natalie.
Is that what I said?
Always my fault. Yes,
I heard
Natalie.
that.
Listen, this is
I
how
heard
this
that.
works here
I
on
heard
LOA
that.
Uncorked.
Well,
Yeah.
I love it. So you're also a fellow podcaster, and I love, I
Yeah,
love the
your
not
podcast is
over,
great.
just different. Why did you want to get into that space? You're wickedly busy. Was that a pandemic related thing, or what was your impetus to start that?
Get in the
Mhm,
podcasting world.
Well, we're always at Mind Movies looking at different ways that we can reach different audiences. And podcasting is obviously a media that is very popular right now. And so it was more like Glenn, who's now my ex-husband, who's still my business partner, said, I think you should start doing a podcast. I'm like, really? I go, I don't think I want to do a podcast. He goes, yeah, you should do one. I go, well, sell me on it. Why should I do this? I've got enough on my plate as it is.
Yeah.
And so, we were going through a few things. I'm like, okay, all right. I go, but I don't want to talk about law of attraction. I have so many other avenues in which I do that.
Absolutely.
I want to do something different. If I'm going to do it, I need to do something that I want to talk about. So, so not over, just different is the phrase that I coined after Glenn and I separated. So, because I'm like, dude, our relationship isn't over. We've just transitioned into something different.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We're still good friends. We're still business partners. We're still, we're in each other's lives to a certain extent. So it's,
I love
we
that.
have this different thing. But that's like life. Like when we get to our age, or my age, I don't know how old you ladies are.
Yeah, we're the same vintage.
I'm well over that. Well over 50.
So, it's like, well, a lot of the women that I work with through Mind Movies are at this crossroads where investors, they want to make a contribution. They want to have a purpose. They want to feel like they're doing something of meaning. And so I help them to figure out what that is, and through the principles of manifestation and law of attraction, how do you get to that place where you figure out, because we're at the prime of our life. Yes. We've got lots of energy. We're healthy. We're intelligent. We've got all this life experience.
Yes.
We are in the prime place to be able to do something of meaning.
Right.
Yeah. So
I agree.
The podcast is really for women of our age group. But I really wanted to talk about, and I wanted to open up conversations that we don't normally have. Things about sex, dating, marriage,
menopause,
hormones, you name it, we talk about it. Managing money. Separating and getting divorced right now. It's like all of a sudden, we're responsible for our own wealth. What does that look like? How do we do that? So all of the things that, that we should be talking about with our girlfriends.
Right.
I love that.
Model how to have those conversations. That's kind of really the direction I went with the podcast. I love it.
I love it. Well, she did Enneagram too. Like, getting to know yourself.
The Enneagram too. Yeah. And I do think, I think that's what's such a great attraction about podcasts in general is if you really connect with the topic or the type of podcast it is, and then the host. And I really feel like you could feel like you're with a virtual BFF or girlfriend or, friend group that is focused on a certain thing in your life that's important for you that you may not be getting in your real life friend group or family, right? That's exactly what we had hoped to accomplish with our podcast. For sure. I'm sure some of our listeners, including Holly and I, will be subscribing to yours. So
I'm subscribed.
you already did. All right, good. I will do it.
You got to get those papers ready, Jeanna.
I'm good. I know.
I'm going after the mogul.
It is good that you now know what she looks like in case you see someone like her.
We come to LA, so now that we know you're there, you're by the sign. We know.
Oh, darling, I'm Australian, and we like to party. So
I know.
Well, we have champagne bottles here.
Anybody who owned a club is a friend of ours. That's
I
what
have
we're
to,
like.
when
Yeah.
you see that Y in the sign knocked down and put an I up there, you're gonna know I took over. Okay, that's how you're gonna know.
Hollywood with an eye.
and your podcast is called Uncorked. I'm like, where's the wine? What are we doing?
I know. Well, we do have it here.
Well,
I
we
mean,
do.
we do.
It's
But
Oh,
we
right.
didn't want to be
We
rude.
didn't want to tease you. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to sip
We
in
would
front of you. That's
prefer
just
to,
rude.
when we see you, that we'll have a nice bottle of champagne for
Yes,
you. So,
for sure.
well, thank you so much for coming. Is there anything else that we
Yes.
didn't cover that you think would be really meaningful to our audience?
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, I think the one thing with law of attraction that is like the basics of it is really like energy attracts like energy.
Mhm.
Everything's made up of energy resonating at different frequencies. So how do we become the frequency that matches what we want? And that is our emotions.
Mhm.
That is our emotions. So, I've talked a lot about when we're visualizing, feel what you're going to feel like when you are experiencing that moment when it happens, But the other thing is that we want to be consistently in a higher frequency as much as we can.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have read Power versus Force, and David Hawkins was able to measure the frequency of all of our emotions. So the lower frequency emotions is like guilt, fear, frustration.
Same, yeah.
Got it. Yes.
But then the higher ones, like gratitude and, willingness and joy and happiness and those kind of things. We want to try and stay there as long as we can, because from that point, we're not just manifesting what we've asked for, but we're manifesting things we don't realize we need.
Amen
Something
to that.
We
Yes.
know we need it, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
And we talk a lot about gratitude, and everyone's like, yeah, write in the gratitude journal, blah, blah, blah. I understand. You cannot discount gratitude.
You cannot.
No.
It changes your frequency.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yes, write in your journal. Yes, set an alarm on your phone so you stop, drop, and be grateful for something in the moment during the day so you can shift your energy. Have an activity that you do every day, like cleaning your teeth, or for me, it's walking the dog. That's when I go into my gratefuls. Like pepper your day with all of these little things that are going to help to raise that frequency, because what I do know is that all of our emotions have a chemical makeup.
Right. Yes.
So if we have been feeling frustrated and helpless for years, then the cells of our body are addicted to that chemical.
Mm.
We need to get addicted to the high frequency chemicals. That's what we want to get to, which is going to feel a little, uneasy at the beginning, but then it becomes who we are. You find that sometimes if you have something that happens to you that makes you angry, you'll be angry in that moment, but if you continue the anger, it becomes a mood.
Right.
That mood becomes your personality, because this
Right.
is who you become. Well, we want to do that with gratitude and joy and happiness.
Yes.
Right.
We want that to become our mood. We want that to become our personality.
Yes.
And then when we're in that place, you find yourself saying, oh, life always just works out for me.
Right.
Because when you're resonating in that frequency, it always does.
Oh, I love that. It's so good. And I just want to highlight the fact that you said you're going to get more than what you ever dreamed of, that you knew you needed.
Yeah.
And that's, so it's not just about the car. It's not just about the house. It's about so much more that maybe you don't even have on the board.
Right.
So,
But when you get it, you'll realize and be at the top of your grateful list. I love also your recommendation to kind of pepper, I think you used the word pepper it throughout your day, and stack it with kind of just general routines that you are known to do every day.
Taking the dogs,
taking the dogs out and
Mhm.
brushing your teeth, like those routines, it really is, that will ingrain kind of, will create a situation where you can it will overall, you won't have to think about it as much anymore. It'll just be part of your thought process. I
love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. What a gift.
Yay.
Well, I will send you the paperwork soon, just to ensure that if something occurs, you just fill it out and sign the bottom and send it back to me. I'll make sure she doesn't leave town without me.
Yeah,
I'll make
and
sure
if
I
you
keep
guys
her
come
with-
to LA, make sure your people talk to my people and we get something.
We
will
will.
for sure
We're coming
do
for
that.
branding photos
For
soon.
sure
so
do that.
yeah. Sounds good.
Well,
all right.
thank you so
so
much.
much for being with us. We really appreciate you, every part of you, everything you're doing in the world. We honor it. And it was a blessing today.
Self-made mogul.
There we
That's
go.
amazing. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.